known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and I am doing an unexpected and unplanned live to to tell you all happy blood moon in Virgo. Uh, Let me correct that. Virgo blood moon in Pisces, and to update you on some very important information and some important decisions that I've made relatively recently, like extremely recently, like today, recently, and then to tell you what's coming up next. So let me set myself up. The connection up here is always so bad, but I did want to do this while I'm here now because we're coming up on the time 3:33, which is very important, very strategic, because for me this morning, up typing away on my laptop trying to make the impossible happen today, the peak of the blood moon today was at 3:33 a.m. And so I made a commitment to be at least outside at 3:33 p.m. and that commitment I have filled. I'm trying to adjust where the light isn't straight in my face, but I am not shaded out. I think that will do. But yeah, anyway, so I'm out at Griffith Park. You can see this old ugly monument behind me with the so-called fathers of astronomy in my rear, which is, I think, also very with you. Let's see how this is going to work. Hopefully I can rig this well. I wasn't planning on doing a live out here because usually the connection is so bad it's pretty impossible. Hopefully everybody is well. Hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. The connection out here is usually pretty poor to try to do a live, but I'm going to see what I can work out. In the meantime, while I'm trying to get this phone set up, I am also going to take a moment to read our conspiracy, the global conspiracy to right all wrongs. Ooh, is that going to work? Tell me it's going to work. Tell me it's going to work. Yes. Look at that. All right. So let me pull out the conspiracy first. Ooh, that's so awesome. I love when my little African ingenuity works out right. All right. So first we're going to read the wrongs. Then I'm going to talk to you about what happened today. All right. Yes. Okay. Keys as my noise makers. I'm up here by myself. Tried to get some women to come out here with me, but everybody, you look great, by the way. I love it. I love the tattoos showing. Yes, you look like you came right off a plane from the South, girl. Oh, no, you didn't. Where are you from? Lovely. I love NC. I love it. I can see the South all over you, girl. I love that. I love that. I'm from Alabama, just FYI. All right, y'all ready? Okay. Hold on, let me get my noise. We are the breakers of curses, the casters of glorious conspiracies, and the creators of the new world. I, Cassandra Faye Floyd, am a divine instrument of my mother's divine will. As such, I am protected and guided by the sacred blood and water of my mother, Jacqueline Jeanette Cook's body, that anointed my entry into this life. I am divine because she is divine. Mommy and I are one. I call all of our mothers to this moment. I call on they who govern everything, all time and all space in between. She with 10,000 names. Today it is Oya, Yemaya, Oshun, Iami Ade, divine architect of existence, usheresses of the new age. Mommy and I are one. I call upon the divine ancestors and the ashe of every mother on earth. Of every mother on earth to break every curse ever cast upon the mother and her children in all timelines and in every dimension. Mommy and I are one. We, the mother's divine children, conspire together today to forever bind those who have or would harm you, great mother. Mommy and I are one. We conspire together today to destroy everything and everyone in every timeline and dimension that has caused suffering and despair. Mommy and I are one. Today, we embody the sacred and divine power of our mothers. Today, we the tree, we the weavers, we the tree, we the weavers, rewrite all time. Today, we the tree, we the weavers, rewrite the book of life. Today, we, our mother's children, call the winds of change. We conjure the primordial dark. We summon the sacred serpent deep from within the earth. We subdue the rogue sun. We control the light. We heal the harm. We embolden the fearful. We instill courageous action. Today, we are staging a global evolution. Mother, Mommy and I are one. We, the architects of the new age, now create the new institutions, the new traditions, the new culture, the new ways of being. We ecstatically welcome the radical destruction of all institutions of hate and harm erected by the godheads of war. Mommy and I are one. We have the power. We have the voice. We are the portals of change. Now we employ our sacred breath and give life and sacred blood to this conspiracy. Mommy and I are one. We command, come the wind, come the storm, come the lightning, capture and judge all godheads of war and all betrayers of the mother's divine will. Bring their confusion and scatter them to oblivion, never to be resurrected. We are the fates. We are the furies. We are the Iami Aj. We are the disseminators of divine time, divine retribution, divine rectification, and evolutionary justice. Mommy and I are one. We are the restorers of heaven on earth under the mother's divine reign. We wake the sacred serpent deep from deep within the earth to assist us in this sacred assignment. Mommy and I are one. Love unlimited is our birthright. Harmony is our birthright. Ecstasy is our birthright. Pleasure is our birthright. Freedom is our birthright. This is her divine will. We are the divine executors of her will. We speak her will into the now to reverberate throughout all time, all space, and all dimensions. It is certainly as we say, forever and ever, Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. So, let me just say, so much has happened in the last 72 hours. And the last 72 hours in general, and the last 24 hours in particular. And it had me come to some conclusions that I want to share with you. Not only some conclusions, there have been some pretty, um, there's been some pretty intense, like, revelations that have come to me in the last 48 hours. And I'll be honest, with those revelations and what I had going on, what I was trying to do to meet this most recent deadline that is approaching for the mayoral campaign. I was trying. I would get distracted, try to descend into what was really fighting like hell to come through me, and then jerk myself out of it because I'm like, okay, I have to meet this deadline. This is really important. I have to do this thing, whatever. I made the commitment. And I'll be honest, I've said this many times, but I'm going to reiterate it again. I do believe that this particular election coming up in June is urgently, vitally, game-changingly important. I do. And since December 9th, and you'll have to forgive me because the way the light is shining out here, I can't face the other direction. Otherwise, y'all won't see my face at all. It'll be completely blacked out because of the shadow. But I can't face directly the sun. And so I'm struggling to see you guys' comments. So if I'm not giving y'all feedback like you're accustomed to the comments, is because I'm literally blinded by the light. Okay. So the reason first of all, the reason that I came up here in the first place is because I had scheduled a press conference for up here, and the feedback from the press was really good. I had about 10 different press outlets that responded positively to the press release, and then I talked to several people that I knew may or may not show up, like in support of the press conference. But what it was, this strategically and deliberately organizing the press conference on the highest accessible location in this city on the day of the blood moon was multifold, right? Like my conscious mind, you know what I'm saying? My scientific conscious mind, the reasoning for organizing this press conference and so on up here was again multifold. This is the highest location in the city, and I was really approaching okay. So hopefully I'm still here. I can see right now I'm gonna be, because again the connection up here is wonky. It may go in and out. But anyway, so I haven't slept in 2 days. I've sent out probably about 500 emails in the last 48 hours, and spent the majority of days since Thursday out on the street by myself, trying to collect the signatures necessary for me to remain a candidate. Let's see. Can y'all still see me? Somebody give me like some kind of sign that I'm still up on here. Can y'all see me? Thumbs up or some kind of emoji or something? Because it did go out for a second. So I don't know if it looks like I'm still alive, but I can't tell. Just some kind. Okay, cool. Awesome. So long story short, because I'm not going to belabor that much. I may say something about it when I get home tonight. I'll do a live tonight. But in this running around, and I have been, y'all know, because I've been watching the last maybe 3 lives that I have done over the last week. And though the content has been, fire as much as I think so, the energy that I was projecting, the space that I was emanating from, and even what I was trying to communicate. Plus, I taught a workshop on Saturday morning, and I'll have to be honest, I was really expecting to see more of you guys participate in the workshop, the magic and mystery of the lower palace. There were 2 sisters that follow my channel that did participate. But I was like, dang, I just kind of thought y'all was going to participate. But anyway, so I taught that workshop, and then I did the last couple of lives, and I think the last one was like 6 hours long. And the long and the short of it was I came up here to do this press conference. I got up here, and I made the commitment to myself that that if nobody came, that I was going to receive it for what it was, and be done with it. I'll be honest, to be done with it, because tomorrow is the deadline for us to take the signatures to the Ethics Commission for them to count the signatures, and that those number of signatures will determine whether or not you can remain a candidate. So even though I've been a qualified candidate since December 9th, you could not get the petitions so you have been able to, quote, register to become a candidate since last June. And even though people have been raising funds like Karen Bass has raised $2.4 million. So you've been able to fundraise, you've been able to be a candidate since last June, but you could not get the petitions to get the signatures that you need to stay a candidate until 3 weeks ago. So you had 3 weeks to get 1,000 signatures to stay on the ballot. 500 signatures and $300. So if you could if you could get 500 signatures and pay $300, you could stay on the ballot, or 1,000 signatures and no money to stay on the ballot. You hear what I'm saying? And they give you 3 weeks to do that. So we got the petitions on February 7th. We got the petitions on February 7th, and they are due tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you something. I have been fighting like hell by myself. All the people that I know, only one person committed to take a sheet and get it filled out. And I was like, well, fuck it. I got 3 weeks. I can pull a miracle out of a hat. And I have not pulled that miracle out of my hat, right? And so for the last maybe 4 days, since Friday, because I've been out on the street, going to events, first place like a crazy person, neglecting my own life, trying to, quote, pull this miracle out of a hat. And trying to pull this miracle out of my hat and stressing about it, like internalizing it, like tossing and turning when I can literally setting alarm clocks throughout the day to catch a 20-minute nap and get right back to what I'm doing so that I could, quote, meet this benchmark. And I know what the benchmark is, but I still thought that I could, with the connections that I have with the people that I know, I thought that I could like overcome the benchmark, and I couldn't. And there was a moment today where I was driving up this mountain, for this press conference, and it was like my shoulders were in my ear. I was constantly having to, because I've just been like, oh my God, I got to make this happen. And then there was a moment driving up here where I was like frustrated, because it was like, is this how I would have been spending yesterday and today? Is sitting in front of that laptop all night. I literally sat down at 8:00 last night when I got in, and I did not get off of that laptop until 4:00 this morning, to then pivot, not to go to sleep, to pivot and do some other things that I needed to do before, quote, business day started, and hit the street as soon as the sun came up. 7:00 this morning, I've been out trying to go from this place to that place, collecting signatures. I've been to the food stamp department with all the people waiting in the long line at the food stamp department, everywhere, trying to do the impossible, trying to accomplish what I knew realistically was going to take about 10 people to accomplish. That's the Virgo in me. That was the lesson for me, is when I was driving up this hill, my fourth stop today, to attempt to, I got all the petitions here, you know what I'm saying, to come up this hill to, quote, do a press conference, and then to pivot again and try to stop people up here to get signatures so I could, quote, stay in the mayoral race. And driving up here, I asked myself, would this be how I was spending this day that is extraordinarily important? And I've known that it was important. I've been taking notes for a week, trying to chisel out a period of time to do a live specifically to talk to you guys about this blood moon, this Virgo blood moon in Pisces, why it's historically significant, how significant that actual day is, the third day of the third month, why it's important. Like, I've been trying to cram my study in while holding this giant ass stack of petitions and, stopping people. And of course, the petition, all it is just to stay on the ballot. But if you stop and ask somebody to put their signature and their information on some paper, they're like, well, what is it? And I'm like, oh, it's just to keep me in the election. Well, what is your platform about? And so this whole rigorous, deliberately bureaucratic, deliberately frustrating process that I have been swimming upstream in since December 9th when I first declared. And I drove up this mountain today, and as soon as I got up here, and the weather is more perfect today than it has been in a long time in the city, I said, is this how I would have been spending this most important day if there was not this, quote, deadline for tomorrow to, quote, stay in the race? And then I haven't really talked to you guys about this topic, but what is it? Today is Tuesday. So what, 4 days ago, your president, waged this campaign on Iran and called, what did they call it between the two of them, between that state and Donald Trump? They called it, what were the two names? I wrote them down. The two names of the campaign. Something Israel called it something lion. Somebody Google that really quick. What were the operation names of this attack that happened a few days ago? They were significant. When I tell you, I'm always telling you, I've been talking to y'all for days, so I'm switching gears now. So to round that off, first of all, to round this discussion off. So I guess the decision that I made driving up here was that I was not going to fight anymore for this. That, it has been very, very difficult. I'm still convinced. I met another dude Saturday who is also a mayoral candidate. And we talked pretty at length, as a matter of fact. And he told me, if you decide to stay in, cool, but let's stay in touch. Let's stay connected. And so I'm probably going to talk to him sometime, because he's already qualified, met the benchmark, but he had a whole team pulling shifts to make sure he could stay in the race. And so what I may do is just hand off my platform to him, and so I can make sure that he, adds these items that will change the tide for him. It will change the tide. But basically, I'm not even expecting a miracle, truth be told. Yesterday, I was like, a miracle can happen. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to take the action necessary. Let's go, right? And today, driving up this hill, I was like, would this be how I was spending my days leading up to this blood moon if I wasn't trying to meet this benchmark, this unrealistic benchmark set by the state, deliberately set by the state to ensure that certain sectors of the population do not have access to, quote, free and equal elections. You understand? It's a facade. And so they put all these barriers up all along the way to, quote, weed out those who may be problematic in their articulations. Once these cameras start rolling, once their names start to be known as actual viable candidates, we just need to be able to control the narrative. And so the people that are getting all of the attention right now, politically, where the media is concerned, because as far as y'all know, there ain't but 4 candidates. There's 38 candidates as of today, 38. And the majority of them are black skin or brown skin people, the majority of them, right? And so you see in these 4 faces, the Indian girl and Karen Bass and the guy who used to be on reality TV that lives in Pacific Palisades, and one other white guy. So it's 2 women of color and 2 white guys are right now, quote, the front runners for the election. And when I tell you, it doesn't matter how they're saying what they're saying, all of them are saying the exact same thing, like a pre-programmed mantra. And that's what they want. Just as long as don't nobody have the nerve while these cameras are rolling to say anything that remotely looks like them trying to color outside the lines, we all right. It means we can control them for this next stage of aggressions that is coming down, and everybody has their sights on the elections happening in the city. Everybody. It is the center of discussion every other day is what is going to happen in LA, because unlike Unlike regular everyday lay people who just think this is just another election cycle, this is just a regular election. This election is going to determine how the state can further deepen and impact how this shit lays out, not only in the city, because whatever happens in LA will reverberate out into the rest of the country. That's why, just like New York wasn't just a New York City election. Y'all still haven't stopped talking about that election. It is, first of all, nationally impactful, this election happening in the city of Los Angeles. But even more than that, it has the potential to be globally impactful. And they are clear, even if the people that are running are not clear. And it's evident that the people that are running are not clear because of the articulations that they're making. Like, this is just a regular, everyday, run-of-the-mill election cycle in the city of Los Angeles, and it ain't gonna have no impact on nobody else but the city of Los Angeles. I was crystal clear when I took my behind down to that office 5 times, jumping through every bureaucratic hoop that they set before me to make sure that I qualified for this campaign, to have this last hurdle be literally right within my grasp, and to concede driving up this mountain today, the moment that I was like, I'm not going to force this. I'm not going to do it. If it is for me to do, it will be done, and it will be done streamlined and easily. I am not going to keep doing this shit, right? Knowing how important it is. So when I met this brother, it's a Mexican guy. I met him on Saturday because he was set up the same place that I was set up. And when I met him and we talked for about an hour, me, him, and his wife. And at first he was like, yeah, let's keep in touch. And, you know, if I win or if you win, whatever, let's stay in touch. That way we can still, you know, maybe you can be on my cabinet or I can be on your cabinet, so we can do what needs to be done in this city without all these politically ambitious, what do you call it? Self-interest that are really guiding other folks, right? I was like, all right, bet. And I was like, I'm gonna do it so it is a non-issue. Today, once I conceded, I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach out to this dude, because that's the issue. And I've been telling y'all that since day one. That is the issue. I ain't got no stakes in, quote, keeping what I had spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of my life typing in terms of my platform, right? I was like, look, I'm going to show it to him. I'm going to send it to him. If he says that, yes, this sounds like awesome and some shit I can get down with, then cool. This is yours. Run with it. I don't have any stakes in holding the shit hostage. I need for whoever is willing and can to throw a wrench in this rotten bitch. That's what I'm in it for. That was always what I was in it for, is to throw a wrench in this rotten bitch, and to demonstrate to regular, everyday, struggling people what it means and what it should look like and what it takes to seize possession of power and to wield it. That's all I was in it for. You feel me? That's all I was in it for. And so, and I've been telling y'all since day one, I know the state. So even if I, quote, win, I know the state ain't gonna let no nappy-headed, pierced-faced, dark-skinned woman take possession of power in the city that ain't bought. You feel me? I said, but we still gonna run a campaign that makes it evident that we won. And we're going to set a narrative that makes it clear that they will never be able to run campaigns in the city the same way. And so if they are willing to do that, I'm going to talk to all of the candidates. I'm talking to all the candidates, the ones that ain't seen, the ones that they're deliberately trying to make jump through these hurdles to stay viable candidates. And I made up my mind today. I'm going to email it. I'm going to email the platform to everybody. And take it. I don't need to even be acknowledged as the author, child. Take it and wield it like the weapon that it should be. That's all. That's it. So that's my diatribe on that. I will not be able to secure the number of signatures that I need to be able to meet this deadline tomorrow, not by myself. And so I conceded that I'm not going to spend the rest of my day, this Virgo blood moon in Pisces that won't happen again for another 18 years, I will not be spending this day obsessing about this thing a moment longer. So that's the long short of that's the long version of a long story. and so there's some other things I want to talk to you guys about. I'm so glad this thing has never lasted this long up here. There's some things I want to talk to y'all about. And I was watching a lot of you have been commenting on the last two lives that I did, because there was so much. There was just so much. And I went back and listened to them a lot and recognized that there would be moments where there were points I was trying to make, and then something else would come through and I would forget to close out the point that was very important. And so that's some of the things that still I am obsessing about today. And I want to talk to you about them. I didn't bring my books up here. I intended to, but I just took the petitions out of the car, but I still have some things I've been taking notes on, because I've been talking to y'all. I know I want to preface by saying something. I've been teaching this way through this medium since 2022. And and even though I try pretty regularly to reiterate, especially because I know there are new people coming to the channel all the time, that I am not one of those channels that is set up to just be teaching, blindly. That everything, that's why I slow down if I need to. That's why I run back if I need to. That's why I reiterate, or if I have to do the same topic 3 times in a row, I slow down to make sure that what I am disseminating is not only heard and received, but can be applied right away. You understand? Can be applied. I will never, I don't know, there's just so much information out in the world. And I feel like the primary reason that people fall victim to like conspiracy theories and go into these long wormholes about this connection and that connection and oh my God, and see the signs and all of that shit, is because it becomes a different way to retreat. It does. It becomes a different way to retreat. To get lost in wormholes becomes a way, like once you know some things or you see some things, you feel me, it becomes a way that it seems counterintuitive, but it does become a way to retreat. And the reason I'm saying that is because I want you to forever and always understand that that is not what is happening here. That's why I keep grilling y'all. That's why I keep quizzing y'all. When I'm quizzing y'all, because this is only one directional right now. Y'all comment in the comment section. That's why I stay engaged in the comment section, because I love the feedback and we learn together as we're like cycling through this feedback. But I don't want you to be in a situation where you just feel good after having heard me say something profound and shit, or after I have these breakthroughs that I feel like are urgent in the moment to share as widely as possible, and then nothing happens with it. When I'm not trying to, and this is not the period that we live in. This period cannot afford for us to be waiting around for a savior, waiting around for a salvation, looking for a sign that this person right here or that person right there is the proverbial one that we always been waiting for. That's not what I'm trying to create here. I'm not. And I've told y'all a million times, and I will tell you a million times more. I am not trying to be your guru. I'm not trying to be your shaman. I'm not trying to be your, whatever. You understand? I'm not trying to be your master, your what y'all be calling it, your master teacher. None of that shit. I don't need that shit. I'm not trying to be your master teacher. I'm not trying to do any of that shit. Even when we finally have a space that is identifiably the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, the only interest that I have is that what comes through me, what comes up from me, and I disseminate it out to someone else can radically transform them, can radically evolve them so that they can go out in the world and do exactly the same thing. So when I teach you And I'm telling you, and I may appear frustrated, and I say, is nobody going to answer? Don't nobody remember anything that I have told you? We have to piece this shit together. My phone don't ever ring. All of a sudden it's blowing up. We have to rapidly piece this shit together. All of us, we have to rapidly evolve. All of us. This is the only mission. It is the only thing that is important, is for each and every person on this planet to rapidly re-become in their peculiar self, in their peculiar expression, the absolute certain expression of the goddess in their form. That is it. I'm telling you, I had a breakthrough today, man. I was like, I have been letting this bullshit with this election. I'm telling you something. Even treating the election, writing and struggling so hard over the platform and what is going to be most important to put out, and in real time, I was so fucked up today, yo. In real time, saying, oh my God, I have fallen victim to the same shit I'm always railing against, always raging against. I have separated in myself. This is the way to run a strategic and political campaign, and then switch brains to come up on here and talk to you guys about what it means to live in this period, what it means to God on earth, what it means, what it must look like in real time, what it must look like in our interactions with each other. And I recognize coming up this damn mountain today, after stressing out and not sleeping, I haven't eaten today, stressing out about, can I meet the deadline? Can I meet the benchmark? Falling victim to the shit the state wanted me to fall victim to in the first place. I had another breakthrough today. I had another fucking breakthrough today. When I all of a sudden pulled my shoulders out of my ears, took a deep breath, felt my body go limp and surrender, driving up this mountain, and recalled that everything that we've been talking about for the since December, everything that we have been talking about is the myriad of ways that we continue to be dissected, that we continue to be dissected, separated, split apart. What do you call it? Fission. You understand? The splitting, the constant dissecting, splitting apart, separating. This is the process. It didn't start with, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because as I have been talking, the last live I did with y'all, and I got off on it for a little bit, was trying to piece together in real time why these particular men of the past, of the relatively recent past, for like the last 200 years, what has been their obsession with the letter S, right? Why is it important? I told y'all I have been obsessing over this shit since the winter solstice in December. What do you want with me, mother, in this letter S? And why is it plaguing me to hell and back? Am I a lunatic? Am I losing my goddamn mind? Like, what the hell is going on, right? And the last live that I did, I spent a good period of time talking to you about the historical significance of the letter S and trying to, in real time, piece together why it was so important and why it's been the front-running thing on my mind since the winter solstice in December. And I have never said what the obsession was steeped in. I do not want it to come off as some conspiracy theory that I'm just going off on. And I had the epiphany today, baby. I had the epiphany today. I was asking you guys in the last live, what is it? Because y'all were saying, I said, what would be the reason that they're always hiding everything in plain sight? Every time you turn around, I was talking about horror movies. I was like, why is the devil in everything? I said, everybody be talking about the signs and the symbols of the Illuminati takeover of hip hop. What is the this and that, right? I said, but what we evade is the why. Why is it everywhere? Everybody can decode all the symbols, but they never get to the why. Why the hiding? What is it they are trying to hide? And baby, let me just read you what I wrote on some scratch pieces of paper while I was at my old people lunch today. And I still have to work it out deeper. But um the last thing I was listening to from the last live that I did was people's, especially given today, people's obsession with the quote hidden predictions in The Simpsons. Oh shit! You know, every other day you can find somebody. Every other day you can find some video, millions at this point, of videos people um, of people. Uh, of people oh my god, of people obsessing over the hidden predictions in The Simpsons, and how did they know that was going to happen 10 years before it happened? How did The Simpsons always seem to know what is going to happen? And let me tell you, I was listening to that in the car from the last live that I did, and I said, you know what I need to do is when I sit down, I need to do some etymology, because when I tell you everything is hidden in plain sight, I mean just that. So I said, let me find the etymology for the word prediction or predict. Okay. And the word prediction, hopefully this will resonate better. The word prediction, which comes from the Latin word prodictio, right? Prodictio means, quote, in Latin, a foretelling, right? Okay, cool. But what the word literally means, it says, appearing in Latin, the prodictio, a foretelling, which originates from prodicere, a combination of before and, which is the before, and dicere, to say or to speak. Okay. And I wrote a note when I was writing this down. So I was like multitasking, trying to eat, trying to write this shit down and whatever. And this old guy walks up to the table that I'm sitting at. There's like 70 people in the room. Walks up to the table that I'm sitting at, trying to work out in my mind this obsession that I have been having with the letter S and what is its deeper meaning, what's its deeper significance. And this dude walks up to the table and has a massive, big, giant ass tie on that has Superman big, and then bigger than the Superman is his letter S on his chest. And I just start like laughing out loud because I'm literally writing this shit down as he walks to the table, right? And so it means, right, prediction, to say something before it occurs. Okay. And so that is your general understanding of prediction, is to, quote, see something before it happens. But it is not to see something before it happens. That's not what prediction means. Prediction does not mean to see something before it happens. It means to say something before it happens. Do you hear what I'm telling you? There is a difference between the seeing and the saying. It is to say something before it happens. Well, what do we say about the global conspiracy to right all wrongs? Huh? What does the word conspiracy mean? It means the breathing together, a sacred oath to ensure a certain outcome, that if you say it and you say it out loud and you say it together, the thing that you are saying is certain. Let me backtrack. Remember when we were talking about that book by what's her name? Abiola, I think her first name is Abiola Abrams. It's the African something something book. I forget, but Abrams. And I'm always going back to this quote that she made in this book about this like mentorship she was doing in Africa. And at the time, I see you. Who was that said that? I cannot see. The I cannot see that. Theoro, I don't know. I can't see that. But I see the what you said is brighter than what your name is. But anyway, thank you for that, by the way. But I was saying for a long time, every time I turn around, I was saying that quote when we talk about the conspiracy to right all wrongs, the global conspiracy to right all wrongs, global conspiracy to right all wrongs. And she was doing this mentorship, and the Baba told her that the next day they were going to learn how to see the future, or how to see the future, how to predict the future. That's what he said. And so the next day they start working with herbs, and they're working with herbs, and they're working with herbs. And finally she said, I'm confused. He's like, what you confused about? She said, I thought we were supposed to be learning how to predict the future today. And she said, he looked confused at what she said. He said, we are. He said, we predict the future by creating it. We predict the future by creating it. I hope you are hearing me right now. We predict the future by creating it. We predict the future by creating it. So if you know that, then what are you going to do? You are going to create the future that you want to see made real, that benefits you at somebody else's expense, if you are who we know you are. You understand what I'm saying? I hope y'all are hearing me. I hope you are walking with me, because these things are coming together in real time on this day. And I knew she had me plant my ass on this grass today, right behind this old ugly ass monument behind me. Because what have we been speaking for months now? What have we been speaking since your arch enemy took the White House? We have been speaking the future that they have seeded into our consciousness for us to create for them. That's why we are where we are today. That's why we are where we are today. I've been saying from day one, please stop reading these damn files out loud on this medium. We know what is in there. Do we need to read this shit? First of all, do we need to see it with our own eyes and pollute our own skull with that shit, as if we do not know the monstrous diabolatry that was happening up on there? And I am seeing black and brown and red and yellow and white people reading this shit like a goddamn mantra every day. Guess what we found? Guess what we found? I said they are doing this shit deliberately. Y'all be frustrated because ain't nobody got arrested. They never had any intention of anybody reaping the deserved retribution for the diabolatry that was allowed to carry on for upwards of 30 years. There was never, this is the declaration that is being made. This is what it looks like when you seize possession of power. You do what you want. You create all new laws. You violate the ones people have grown accustomed to accepting as the secured, guaranteed norm. You terrorize the hell out of people through a declared, proclaimed shock and awe campaign that he promised. Y'all act surprised every time he pulls some bullshit, but he told you for 3 months. If we take this shit, it's going to be a shock and awe campaign unlike the country has ever seen, unlike the world has ever known. He said it over and over. Every single member of his cabinet kept declaring it over and over and over again. Let us take the White House, bitch. We about to unleash hell on y'all. That's what he said. And when he delivers on the proclamation that he literally spoke out loud like a spell in your skull for months, and when he delivers on that, you continue to act like you have amnesia. Like you don't remember he said it, right? And so when the next crisis happens, when the next catastrophe happens, you are shocked and awed all over again, as if you did not just live the same thing or the same gravity of thing 2 months prior. This is strategically what it is meant to do, and we completely participate. We participate. Let me tell you what else this word means. Okay? It means to say or to speak before. That's what it means. It literally translates to say something before it occurs. What we say conspiracy means, huh? The breathing together. Who's doing the breathing? It's us. It's us to breathe together a sacred oath to ensure a certain. What does certain mean? It means definitive. It means absolutely going to occur. A certain outcome. The example given is when a bunch of people with some horns in their hands get together. They all have different sheet music. So to appear from one to another, it appears like they all have a different song. But even though they have radically different pieces of instructions in front of them, worldviews in front of them, understandings in front of them, when they come together to play their peculiar role, one song is created, not a myriad of them. One song is harmoniously created. That is the definition of a conspiracy. To breathe, when many come together to breathe a sacred oath to ensure a definitive outcome. And this is the strategy that has been levied upon our skulls for the greater part of 150 years, most in particular, since we had access to music and to media. It's the only purpose that it serves is to get your energy to participate in creating a future that will always keep you enslaved to those things that you cannot see. So even though your body ain't physically enslaved no more, you can't figure out why you're perpetually exhausted, why you are perpetually tired, why no matter how much you do, no matter how much you obey the law, no matter how many things you do right, no matter how many extra side hustles you have, you cannot seem to get ahead. It is because you are perpetually participating in a global conspiracy that ensures that you never become sovereign. That's what it's about. That's what it's always been about, is to ensure, not only, it's not just that. That's the most obvious thing, is to ensure that you never become sovereign. But there's a greater why. Why is it important that there is no demonstration, no appearance of nowhere on earth, no appearance anywhere on earth in any form that appears to be a perfect example of what sovereignty among a nation of people look like? That example doesn't exist anywhere on earth. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And it's really interesting that example does not exist anywhere, whether that country is, quote, professed to be a capitalist country, whether that country is, quote, professed to be a socialist country, whether that country is professed to be a communist country, whether that country is professed to be whatever the fuck. That among none of these ideologies imposed on our skull for all these years, there's no example whatsoever, nowhere, not among one single solitary group of people on the whole of the earth, for what sovereignty among a nation can look like. There's a reason for that. The greater why is not just the making sure that that independent, peculiar self-sovereignty cannot exist. The greater why is because the moment that guaranteed clarity comes from being sovereign. What does it mean to be sovereign? To be and I'm not talking about nation sovereignty either. To be a sole sovereign on this planet means that you don't have to look over your shoulder, that you do not have to worry about the essentials in life, the eating and the where you're going to live, and are you going to be safe in this walk through the earth. That sovereignty means not just the establishment or declaration of independent sovereignty, but creating an environment where everyone around you, because they honor and they honor and cherish their own personal sovereignty are bound to honor your sovereignty. Because, see, I ain't gonna get that deep, but that's why. And what does that mean? They've told us in our face over and over and over again that if we give a single human being on this earth a moment's rest, real rest, true rest, true clarity that can only come from true rest, not you crashing because you exhausted, true, peaceful, sovereign rest. That if we give them a moment to rest, that black bitch that can change everything in an instant is bound to reveal herself to them. I wrote, and let me finish with this etymology. So it said, okay, so the last thing it says is to say something before it occurs, right? And then the second part of that was often referring to, quote, declaring future events. It didn't say predicting. It didn't say seeing. It said declaring future events based on secret knowledge. You hear what I just said? That's what the definition is. To declare. It didn't say to see. It didn't say to come down upon. It said to declare it. It's what I'm saying all the time. What do I say all the time about the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence? You sovereign, and I honor your sovereignty when you step up in the space. But up in the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence is what the fuck I say. That's a declaration. You see what I'm saying? That's a declaration. You feel me? It says to declare future events based on secret knowledge. What did Abrams say about the mentorship with the priest? That we predict the future by creating it. We predict the future. What does dict mean? What does dict mean? What does dict, the suffix dict imply? Here it says say, but when we talk about, quote, diction, it may be how we speak, right? Or it may be the relationship between a speaker and one who is taking dictations from the dictator. You hear me? Taking dictations from the dictator. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why I'm always telling y'all I need a goddamn scribe. I need about 10 scribes. This is to sit and see pictures of ancient seeresses, enchantresses, and to see them in a room full of armed guards on the periphery, and to see them elevated, and then to see all of these young people surrounding them at the feet, paying attention and writing every single word. And all 10 of them have to write every single word in case somebody among them misses something, because this is the only moment for this month that we will be able to get a clear communication from something greater than us all through this one conduit who we know speaks literal gold out of her goddamn mouth. Literal gold out of her mouth. And so I be hearing y'all, and I be paying attention, and I do what I do. All right, I use my audio recorder, I write, I type, I do all the things. It is not the same as what we can imagine happened when that Sybil of Cumaea dictated in a week 9 books in a week. That's all she did was speak. And all of these scribes are frantically trying to not miss a word. And in a week, she spoke 9 books into existence that had become so sought after that we do not have access to them today because they are held hostage in the goddamn Vatican. You understand what I'm saying? 2,000 years later. But we do not take what is happening to the world anywhere even closely as seriously as they did when they predicted the fucking future that exists right now today. We don't have to have a crystal ball to see what is coming. We have to listen. That's what it says. To say, to speak the future before it comes. That's all we have to do. This is why we have been corralled in so many ways. It's such a perfect orchestration. I went off on y'all because I was like, how? With everything happening in the world, with how many billions of dollars you know is generated, with how many people you know every single year are deliberately thrust into sex trafficking around this event, how do y'all, knowing what you know, seeing the way the world is today, run out to the tune of 124 million human beings and watch the goddamn Super Bowl? Which is a spell. It is a spell. It is a spell. The most successful spell that they can count on, no matter how bad shit gets, is your commitment to escapism, your commitment to retreat, your commitment to distraction. It's the one thing that no matter how bad shit gets, they know they can count on you for. They do. They do. I went out the day that we heard the news about the U.S.-Israeli assault on Iran. And when I was in Florida, when um, when um, when the United States under George Bush's first term was preparing to invade Afghanistan, and I was in Florida, and they broadcasted that monstrosity live on every TV, every bar you went into, every big screen in every sports bar. That's all you could see was what must have felt like the end of the world to men, women, and children witnessing at night while they were sleeping thousands of brilliant red arrows raining down on their fucking heads. I remember the shit because I was at the bar where I worked, and the, here it was like an apocalypse. There was nobody on the street. This was a Friday night. There was nobody on the street. There was nobody in any bar. The only people out were the people who were made to go to work. It was so quiet on a Friday night in tourist district that you could hear a pin drop in the middle of the street. It was so solemn. It was so, I'll never forget it. I will never forget the day that this country invaded Afghanistan. I will never forget it. And I was a baby. I was 24, 25. I will never forget that shit. And so expecting, for whatever reason, that same kind of hyper awareness about the travesty unfolding on the planet today. I went out that day just a few days ago because I knew why he did it. Because of today. He did it because of today. Make no mistake, every single solitary aggression that has come down since he was inaugurated has happened strategically in accordance with some major event of the last full year, in a year that is unlike any that will ever exist in known history. He did this shit for a reason, and you have been so blinded by catastrophe that he knew you would not pay attention. So I've been hollering and yelling. I've been hollering and yelling. Look, y'all, we have to get out here and do this goddamn work. Even if it's just sitting on the grass somewhere and declaring out loud that